I'm against everything he says. So,
What is behind closed doors?
well, there's a lot of operational details that can't be discussed publicly, obviously, for obvious reasons. So, as we move forward, we'll describe our process, which is a threefold process in Venezuela. I've described it to them now. Step one is the stabilization of the country. We don't want it descending into chaos. Part of that stabilization, and the reason why we understand and believe that we have the strongest leverage possible, is our quarantine. As you've seen today, 2 more ships were seized. We are in the midst right now and, in fact, about to execute on a deal to take all the oil. They have oil that is stuck in Venezuela. They can't move it because of our quarantine and because it's sanctioned. We are going to take between 30 and 50 million barrels of oil. We're going to sell it in the marketplace at market rates, not at the discounts Venezuela was getting. That money will then be handled in such a way that we will control how it is dispersed in a way that benefits the Venezuelan people, not corruption, not the regime. So we have a lot of leverage to move on the stabilization front. The second phase will be a phase that we call recovery, and that is ensuring that American, Western, and other companies have access to the Venezuelan market in a way that's fair. Also, at the same time, begin to create the process of reconciliation nationally within Venezuela so that the opposition forces can be amnestied and released and from prisons or brought back to the country and begin to rebuild civil society. And then the third phase, of course, will be one of transition. Some of this will overlap. I've described this to them in great detail. We'll have more detail in the days to follow. But we feel like we're moving forward here in a very positive way.
So how long will this take, Secretary?
Some senators who were in that briefing describing your operation variously as that you're winging it, that there's no plan for Venezuela going forward.
Yeah, I know. They're going to say that. I used to be a senator too. That's what you always say when it's the other party. The bottom line is we've gone into great detail with them about the planning. We've described it to them. In fact, it's not just winging it. It's not just saying or speculating it's going to happen. It's already happening. Like the oil arrangement that we've made with PDVSA on their sanctioned oil that they can't move. Understand, they are not generating any revenue from their oil right now. They can't move it unless we allow it to move because we have sanctions, because we're enforcing those sanctions. This is tremendous leverage. We are exercising it in a positive way. The president described it last night. Secretary will have more to say on it today, who is involved in running this portfolio. And we feel very positive that not only will that generate revenue that will be used to the benefit of the Venezuelan people, and we're ensured that that's what the case is, but it also gives us an amount of leverage and influence and control over how this process moves forward.
Mr. Secretary, on
Denmark. Why has the administration not taken Denmark's offer to discuss the situation in Greenland? And
I'll be meeting with them next week.
But will you take military intervention off the table?
I'm not here to talk about Denmark or military intervention. I'll be meeting with them next week. We'll have those conversations with them then. And but I'm not having anything further to add to that today.
Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Does the U.S. intend to buy Greenland? Can you clarify your comments to lawmakers this week?
Well, that's always been the president's intent from the very beginning. He said it very early on. I mean, this is not new. He talked about it in his first term, and he's not the first U.S. president that is examined or looked at how could we acquire Greenland. There's an interest there. But so I just reminded them of the fact that not only did Truman want to do it, but President Trump's been talking about this since his first term.
The White House put out a statement last night saying that the military option
You've lost a lot of weight.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. They said the military option is on the table. So is the administration really willing to risk the NATO alliance by potentially moving ahead with military operations?
What I think the White House said yesterday is what I will tell you now, and I've always said. The president always retained the option. Every president, not this president, every president always retains the option. I'm not talking about Greenland. I'm just talking about globally. If the president identifies a threat to the national security of the United States, every president retains the option to address it through military means. As a diplomat, which is what I am now, and what we work on, we always prefer to settle it in different ways. That included in Venezuela. We tried repeatedly to reach an outcome here that did not involve having to go in and grab an indicted drug trafficker. Those were unsuccessful, unfortunately.
The people of Venezuela are waking up to the same regime. Do you not worry about that?
Well, first of all, the bottom line is that there is a process now in place where we have tremendous control and leverage over what those interim authorities are doing and are able to do. But obviously, this will be a process of transition. In the end, it will be up to the Venezuelan people to transform their country. We are prepared under the right conditions, using the leverage that we have, which includes the fact that they cannot move any oil unless we allow them to move it. Well, again, I'm not going to give you a timeline on it. We wanted to move as soon as possible. But we didn't expect this would. It's been 3 days since this happened, 4 days since this happened. So I understand that in this cycle and society we now live in, everyone wants instant outcomes. They want it to happen overnight. It's not going to work that way. But work we're already seeing progress with this new deal that's been announced and more deals to follow. You are already seeing how the leverage the United States have over those interim authorities is going to begin to lead to positive outcomes.
How much does it cost American taxpayers? How long should
It doesn't
American
cost
public?
us. It doesn't cost
This
us.
is the involvement, the U.S. involvement in Venezuela. How much will it cost?
Well, it
US
isn't going to
taxpayers?
cost us any money. For example, this oil deal that's happening doesn't cost us any money. On the contrary, and if it opens up,
It costs no money to the
well,
American
these
taxpayers.
look, I don't have the numbers. What operation are you talking about? The entire thing?
Yeah.
Well, these troops are going to be deployed. None of these troops sit in a dry dock waiting for action. They're deployed somewhere in the world. If they're not here, they're somewhere else. Just today, our forces not deployed to the Caribbean seized a boat, a sanctioned boat tied to the IRGC that tried to flee from us. That happened somewhere else. We are constantly involved in action. We have boats in the Mediterranean. We have ships in the Middle East. We have ships in the Indo-Pacific. These ships, if they weren't in the Caribbean, they'd be somewhere else conducting activity.
Yeah.
That's what the Navy does. Yeah.
I want to emphasize that question from CNN. The question's never asked how much does it cost when they're in the Mediterranean or the Red Sea or the Indian Ocean or the Pacific. But now that they're in our hemisphere on a counter cartel mission or ensuring that an indicted individual comes to justice, now you're asking the question of cost. It's a disingenuous question to begin with. You're trying to find any angle possible to undermine the success of one of the most historic military missions the world has ever seen. The level of sophistication that Senate just was briefed on and the House was briefed on, a classified level, is something only the United States of America can accomplish. The world is taking notice of that. Certainly Venezuela is taking notice of that. And it continues because two oil tankers, overnight, were seized by the United States of America, stateless or sanctioned, because the oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or sanctioned or stateless vessels continues. That leverage will continue, as Secretary Rubio outlined. So our military is prepared to continue this. As he said, the president, when he speaks, he means it. He's not messing around. We are an administration of action to advance our interests, and that is on full display. We're happy to brief the House and the Senate. We have nothing to
No. Two quick things. Okay. Number one, because we have to go because we got to brief the House. And if we don't and they're pissed at us, you guys better defend us. That was because we were talking to you. I would make one more point. It's a very interesting point. One of those ships that was seized that had oil in the Caribbean, you know what the interim authorities are asking for in Venezuela? They want that oil that was seized to be part of this deal. They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States. And that's what we see are going to happen. We got to go talk to the House, guys. I apologize.
Well, you have to decide something.
Good morning.
All right. Yeah.
Can you tell us what you heard in the meeting? And
I'm
was
sorry.
it-
Hold on one second here. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you tell us what you heard in the meeting just now? And was it satisfactory to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this really confirmed the things that's in the general in the media and in the ether, that it was absolutely organized and very precise. And I guess they would describe its execution as flawless. And this wasn't some guys woke up in the morning and say, hey, let's shoot some shit up. Like this was incredibly organized. And they had a lot of intelligence and they have the support of the nations in the region now too. So this was highly, highly organized. And I remain, in fact, if anything, it deepened my appreciation of our military and what they've accomplished for that. And that's also part of the bigger conversation here, why I could ever vote or shut our government down. Those heroes weren't paid for 40 some days. I mean, it's a disgrace, but regardless, like for me, find a Democrat when they're walking by that all wanted Maduro gone. And now suddenly they've changed their views. Why? Why is that's changed? Less than a year ago, Joe Biden put 25 million on Maduro's head. Why? Why not? Why not get rid of it?
Did you hear anything about what's next for the region and U.S. involvement in the region?
Yeah, of course, there's contingent plans, but there's a lot of concerns, obviously. I'm not saying it, but please stop. Say, well, this could be Iraq. It has nothing in common with Iraq any more than it had with Iran in that situation. All the so-called experts said that, the Middle East was going to burn if we strike those sites. Absolutely did not happen. In fact, the exact opposite happened.
Senator, any questions about the legality of what happened attacking a sovereign nation, even though there's disputes about the president and his election?
Well, I'm saying I think everybody agreed that he was not the legitimate president of Venezuela. In fact, if not all, of people in my party would have agreed that too.
Do they offer any indication of the plans for Greenland? We've heard this heightened rhetoric from the Trump administration.
No, Greenland did not come up in that specifically. For me, I think the ideal situation would be to purchase it. That's not a new conversation. For 80 years, America discussed acquiring it. I would never support invading Greenland. People forget Greenland is 3 times the size of Texas. Most of it is a gigantic ice sheet, and it has fewer people than in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, So, America, we are the force of good and democracy in the world. We're not a bully. I'll never support we're going to steal some kid's lunch money, and do that. And so I don't support that. We have to find a way forward to deepen because it's undeniable. Greenland has important strategic value militarily, but also significant amounts of the rare minerals as well too.
And after concerns about the seizures of the tanker this morning, which is now Russian flagged, is that a concern that could escalate?
Yeah, I love it. Calling bullshit on the Russians. On the dirty Russians. Absolutely. Finally standing up and pushing back on Russia, and it's like that was an attention getter for members in BRICS, like if I'm in Iran, look what's happening in Iran too. The so-called experts now, Iran continues to deteriorate for that poisonous regime, so like I'm saying, maybe the experts are just pipe up and just finally watch how things seems to really happening after some of these choices were made.
Are you going to vote for the war powers?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So if we are running Greenland, or Venezuela, should Congress get involved, appropriate that funding? Should lawmakers have a say on a taxpayer dollar?
Well, yes, lawmakers should have a say. Based on the briefing I just heard, the administration intends for lawmakers to have a say. How else to answer your question?
Well, should it go be an appropriations matter?
I don't know yet. It's too early to tell. Look, let me just say this generally. Number one, I've been here 10 years. Many times these briefings under Democrat and Republican administrations are a waste of time. This was not the case. This was probably the best briefing I've had in a classified setting since I've been in the Senate. And whether you agree or disagree with what the president's doing, no fair-minded person could have sat through what I just sat through and not be impressed. That's point 2. I know there are a lot of questions about Greenland. To invade Greenland and attack its sovereignty, a fellow NATO country, would be weapons grade stupid. President Trump is not weapons grade stupid, nor is Marco Rubio. That's all I'm going to say on Greenland, but there will be more to happen with respect to Greenland.
Senator, does that need
Number 3. The administration has a careful, thought out plan for Venezuela. So this argument they don't have a plan is nonsense. They do have a plan, but it's a plan. It doesn't always mean it can come true. Unless you were playing Frisbee in the quad during History 101, you know that the military in Venezuela is the key to all this. Every time Venezuela has embraced democracy, it is because the military went along with it. Every time Venezuela has rejected democracy, it is because the military led the rejection. And the future of Venezuela in terms of the type of government it is going to have will be determined by the military. That doesn't mean we can't influence them, but ultimately it will be, I'm just talking about raw power. That's just the way it is. I'm encouraged by the fact that the Venezuelan people have accepted democracy. They voted for it in the last election. But will they vote for it again? That's up to the Venezuelan people. But I mean, history demonstrates that the military is going to have a lot to say in this. Yeah.
On Greenland, should there be military intervention? It was suggested by
I just
the White House
answered that.
yesterday.
I just answered that.
Recognizing that it was a classified setting, you say the administration has a plan in Venezuela. There's not a lot of clarity in the public about what that plan is. Is there anything you can tell us about what
No,
that plan is?
it was in a classified setting. That's for the president and Secretary Rubio to do. But they have a plan, and it's a well thought out plan. They haven't shared the plan beforehand for security reasons. Question was asked, why didn't the president tell members of the Senate about the arrest of Maduro before it was attempted? It would have put a lot of lives at stake. Senators don't have a skiff, a classified room that we can go into to accept classified calls. You would have put a lot of men and women, American men and women, at risk had these plans leaked. But I can tell you this: I've encouraged Secretary Hegseth and General Kane to give in front of the American people what they gave to us today, and that is a minute-by-minute description of how we were able to arrest Maduro. You will be impressed, whether you agree with us or not. You will come away going, our military is breathtaking in its superiority. Okay?
Thank you.